Hello, Book Club, hosted by Heather Skinner. Gemma and I are so excited to have Helen Holder with us here today. She is the picture book author of both fun and educational books, including Sleepover with Grandma. Gorgeous cover. I love it. Then Terrific Tongues. That one's so fun. I love it. David's Pretzels. I painted a Magenta Flamingo. Glorious Gertie's Fabulous Fireworks. An Unusual Tale. Awesome. And her upcoming release, What Goes Up Must Come Down. Thank you for holding those covers up. They're so awesome.
Yeah.
Her books are printed through Fox Point Publishing, and I highly recommend that you follow Fox Point Publishing's social media pages and sign up for their newsletter to stay up to date on art copies that are looking for first honest reviews and when Facebook Live Fox Talk book chats will be going on. The spelling of point in Fox Point Publishing has an E on the end, so it's Pointe, Fox Point Publishing. So thank you so much, Helen, for the wonderful books you write and for being with us for this book club chat today.
Well, I'm glad to be here. This is a fun book club.
Oh, thank you. We try. I know I have fun with it, and Gemma's pretty fun. Actually, she could run this whole thing for me, probably. She's more fun than me.
Even people from all over the world come just to see me.
There are some kids, I've been told, they watch just to hear you ask questions, which I think is so fun that kids are interested in hearing about books and hearing you ask questions about it. I really love that. You have 2 questions for Helen today. I told Gemma that you were a first grade teacher for 33 years. Is that right?
That's right.
That is so awesome, isn't it? Gemma's homeschooling at the first grade level, and I believe her first question for you is about school. What's your first question?
So, how do you make a school problem that's hard sound easier?
Well, you have to break it down into little pieces one at a time. So you don't do the whole big thing, just what's the first step I have to do?
Ooh, that's really good advice, right? Oh, thank you. That's really good.
Yeah, and besides, if you look at the whole problem all at once, you might go, oh, I can't do that. But if you just look at this little piece, well, I can do that much.
Yeah, that's
like
really good advice. Yeah. You think that'll help you? I think so.
Or even this much.
Maybe just even smaller. Really small first step. I like it. This is good. That was great. And I know you have another question about one of the books that we've already read and we love of Helen Holder's called
I painted a Magenta Flamingo.
Yes, we love that one. What is your question about that one?
So why are there true facts and fake facts?
Well, it just seemed like it worked out. Oh, well, I think of the big sister as kind of snarky and, I know everything. And actually, I think of it as a little boy, but I think one of my readers thought of it as a little girl. It can be either one. Just has a great imagination. Why do you let the facts get in the way of what you want to imagine?
I love that.
I have the big sister is pretty. My big sister said flamingos don't chew.
That's great, because that's about how I read it to her too. Like I always feel like I need to add that attitude on.
Right.
So that's wonderful. I love that. I love that back and forth. She loved it too. And oh my gosh, we were reading it the other day and her father was listening and couldn't see the pictures. And he was on the other side having the funniest reactions. He's like, what's happening in this book? He loved it too. It was cracking her up even more.
He almost threw his glasses on.
It blew his mind and we had so much fun. These were such great answers to these questions. Do you want to say thank you?
Thank you.
You're welcome. It was so good to get to talk to you.
Oh, she's been so excited to talk with you too. This is so cool. Thank you so much. All right, we have some awesome questions from our members that they've submitted for us in advance. And I'm going to start with Early Hendrian. She would like to know what age range you write your books for.
Primarily they're for the 4 to 8-year-olds. was first graders. That's my favorite age and where I spent my life, my
Aw.
professional life. So before writing. So there you go.
I love that. And I can attest as a parent reading, we're going to read all of your books this month, Gemma and I, throughout the month, but I have read 2 of your books so far. And as an adult, it's actually very fun to read them as well. So I can also attest, even though it's for that age range, it's fun for the parents reading too. So I think it could probably even go higher. Bonnie Jean Yepsen Weinman said, I think I would have loved these as a child. And she's wondering, how do you come up with the ideas for your books?
Well, different things. Several of them are because of my children or grandchildren, something they said or something they did. An Unusual Tale was actually the last assignment for the Children's Literature Institute course I took. And Glorious Gerties just came because I saw the name of a fireworks store as we were traveling to Florida one time, and it just struck me as funny. I'm not sure if it's actually Glorious Gertie because I wrote the story and lost it and had to come up with it again. So the actual fireworks store could have had a different name.
I love that though. It sounds like you've pulled inspiration from so many places, which is so fun because then you never know what could inspire you next. I really love that. Sharon loved your quote that won for your feature month.
Oh yeah.
In the poll. I'm going to read it again so everybody watching can hear it. So what won this month is, "You don't have to burn me up," muttered the knight. "Oh sure, I could just let you slay me," the dragon brightened then. "Maybe you could just step outside. That way the ashes wouldn't make a mess in my kitchen." She loves the quote, and I see that is from An Unusual Tale. She was wondering where that quote came from. How did you come up with such fun writing for this?
Well, it just is. I started off with the idea of the knight and the princess and the dragon are all kind of forced into stereotypical roles, and they don't really like them. So that particular scene, the knight has been sent off to slay the dragon, and he gets captured by the dragon. And so now the dragon is, I've got to do these dragony things, and I really don't want to.
Oh my God, that is so fun. That's one that Gemma and I haven't read yet, and I'm really excited to read that. It looks so fun. Carrie Weston, she had asked in our corresponding Facebook group page, she wanted to make sure she has all your links. And I was wondering if you could just make sure to mention all of your links where people can find you online, because we do have some members that only watch on YouTube as well. So I just want to make sure everybody knows, and I will share them in the description too of this video.
Well, primarily I have Helen Holder, author Helen Holder Facebook page, and then foxpointpublishing.com has a Helen Holder author page where you can see all the books and actually order them from there. And author.helenholder@gmail.com is where you can order directly from me if you would like to do that. That's pretty much it. I haven't ventured into having a website or blog or anything like that.
That's fine. I don't think you necessarily need to though, because I've checked out the Fox Point Publishing site, and I mean it's set up in such a great way where it's so easy to find you on there. You can just go look and see everything, for each author. Your books are right there for sale information. Even some of the things we'll talk about later. Kirsten Hall's videos are so great where she describes them in videos on each page where you can see each book. So it's really comprehensive. I don't even think you really need
I do have a good website there. They
Yeah.
have been a real blessing to me, that's for sure.
Yeah, I definitely want to talk about them later because they have such a great online presence. And you can just really tell they're always out there, talking about their authors and proud and showing stuff off. And I love to see all the fun events that you guys do. So this one is, we were talking in the book club, and I asked the members their favorite books growing up. I think it's so fun to see how books can still continue on through the generations that we love in our childhood. Bonnie Jean Jepsen Weinman had said she loved Dick and Jane and Spot, which is really fun because I know some people don't even know they're still around, but they are. My daughter Gemma learned to read with them. She mentioned the Nancy Drew series. I remember reading Amelia Bedelia when I was younger. I read it to my little brother. Now I read it to my daughter. So I wanted to know, what was your favorite author or books or book series growing up?
Well, my all-time favorite story is The Elephant's Trunk by Rudyard Kipling. I just love that story, and I love reading it to the kids, and it's just a fun story with lots of fun things. It's about how the elephant got his trunk, because he
Oh,
started off with a smashed up nose, but then the elephant's child asks, what does the crocodile eat for breakfast or eat for dinner? I don't know. Been a long time since I've read the story now, but then he goes off to find him and actually gets his nose pulled out long into the trunk that we now know elephants have. And then he comes home and he spanks all of his dear relatives
oh.
with his trunk.
I've never heard of that one. I'm gonna have to look that one
You'll
up.
have to look it up. It's in Rudyard Kipling's Just So stories, but that's my favorite one out of those stories.
Oh, I'm gonna add that to our read list for this month. I definitely have to check that out.
It might be called The Elephant's Child. I'm not sure
The Elephant's Child.
what the exact title is, but you'll recognize it anyway.
Okay. Who'd you say the author is again? It's in
Rudyard Kipling. So it's a really old story. Well, of course, I'm really old, so my childhood was long ago too.
But I love how that stuff just carries on, like generation
Yes.
to generation. Those amazing fun classics and stuff just keep going. So something else I wanted to talk about, I think the members will really like. I loved in your bio, you mentioned that you live in Austin, Minnesota with your husband, Bill, and a few very hardy plants, which I love. I know that we actually have a lot of members who are really great gardeners. We even have one who has their own plant and plant care channel called Cactastic. So I feel like they would all love to know what hardy plants do you have, and do you keep them in your workspace as like part of the ambiance when you're writing?
Well, they are here over. I don't know if I can't turn the computer that far, but my plants suffer from either overwatering or underwatering. So they really have to be hardy. I have a Christmas cactus, and then I have a bunch, I don't know what they're called. So
I'm right there with you on that one. We have a lot of aloe because I do the same thing. Like I'm just the chronic under or overwaterer when
right.
I'm like, oh no, I forgot to water my plants. And I'm just like, oh, here you go. Here's
yeah, here you go. Have a big drink.
You must be really Oh, I love that.
And we don't have any pets anymore. So we only have pets when we go to visit the grandkids. They all have dogs. Well, no, the person that painted the Magenta Flamingo, they have 2 cats.
Oh, that's so fun. Oh, I love that very much. And I love plants are just as fun to take care of. They really are. My daughter's got one. She's very proud of herself that she's taking good care of. So it's good. It's good. So I wanted to know, what kinds of books do you enjoy reading when you're not writing?
I like nonfiction about things, and just historical fiction is another big category I like to read. So I belong to a group called the Ladies Floral Club that actually started the library in Austin. And so we have a book group once a month that we get together and talk about a book. So we do a lot more fiction in there. And our criteria is the book has to be one that somebody else read and enjoyed. So that's kind of fun too.
That is really fun. Oh, I like that. I always love discussing books. So whenever there's that whole meeting, like let's talk about one, I find that so interesting and
right.
fun.
And we have lunch too, so that's good.
Oh, that's even better.
Food and discussion, you can't beat it.
That's right. Oh, actually, talking about animals, I noticed that throughout all of your books, I think there's at least one animal in all of them. So I wanted to know, what's your favorite animal, and is there a particular driving force behind you incorporating animals into all of your work?
Well, no, it pretty much just happens because that's what somebody said or things. So I don't have any particularly favorite animal. I think if I were going to have a pet, if I wanted to take on that responsibility again, I would choose a cat, but a cat, not one, not more than one.
Cats have, very big personalities. So I feel like one
Yes.
cat is definitely enough. We have one cat and she rules our house. So I get it.
So visiting the dogs is fine too.
I love that. And I believe, am I correct, you have 11 grandkids?
Well, 12 actually.
12? 12. Oh my gosh. That is so exciting. Do you give them your books or like books you make for them for holidays or birthdays as gifts?
Oh yeah, so the grandkids have the what goes up, what must come down. They have the original version, and they have the original version of Terrific Tongues, and then I send them all copies of all my books because they have to see what grandma's up to.
Yeah. Do they get to be like your beta readers? Do you kind of see where the jokes fall and if they like it?
Well, no, mainly they've gotten them when they're done but one granddaughter did a comparison on the Terrific Tongues. She did a comparison with the original that they had and the new one, and voted for the new one, that's better. So
I love it. And it looks like your grandkids are very active. I follow your Facebook page. And I don't remember how long ago it was. It could be almost up to a year ago, but I remember seeing posts about one of your grandkids participating in something. I think it was called Ride Across America. Did you want to talk
oh
about
yeah,
that? That
yeah.
sounds really cool.
He did it to call attention to fetal alcohol syndrome. Two of my grandchildren are affected by that, and so they're his brothers. And so he planned his route to stay with families that are dealing with children that have fetal alcohol problems. And then he's also writing a paper for his college classes on what he found out about how to do that. So it was primarily to raise awareness because a lot of people just have no idea how many children are affected. Some are just tiny little bit and some very deeply. And it's an easy thing to prevent. Just don't drink while you're pregnant.
Right. Yeah. Oh, wow. That is a very big cause. So that's really awesome that he took part in that and is going that distance to get that information out there. So that's really amazing. That must have been quite an experience. Was he able to contact family along the way to let him know where he was and everything was good?
Oh yeah, he had a blog that and kept reported in every day with pictures of where he was and what he was doing, and we met him when he came into Iowa, and that turned out to be really a God thing because he'd had a breakdown of a part of his bicycle he couldn't fix in a little bit into Illinois. So we were planning to meet him in Iowa just after he crossed the Mississippi. So we had to go pick him up and bring him back to a bicycle shop and then take him back to that point so he could say he didn't skip any part of his ride.
Oh, wow. Oh, that's good that you were able to be there for him.
Yes.
Does
that
he
turned
plan
out to be really well.
Yeah, that's perfect. Because he could have been almost anywhere, right? Like how far did
Oh
he
yeah,
go?
yeah. So it was quite a ride. His other grandpa met him in Colorado, I think, and rode with him for a while. Grandpa had an electric bike that just because he could kind of speed up a little bit. But
Oh my God, that's such a great experience. Does he plan to publish like what he's writing right now as a paper? Because that sounds like some very important information.
I don't know if the fetal alcohol support group may have some place to do it. Or I don't know if he has any particular plans for that, but he does have to write the paper because was supported on this trip by his scholarship. So that's an incentive.
Yes,
Keep your scholarship where,
most definitely a very big.
right?
Let's see. So I wanted to ask, I noticed in your bio you have some really fun hobbies. You love origami and crocheting. I also love to crochet, which I haven't had time to do recently, but I love to do like those very big blanket projects where I can just mindlessly do the same stitch over and over again.
Well, for the mindless crocheting, I did a whole lot of dishcloths.
Oh,
You
very
can
nice.
watch TV and go ta-ding, 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 ta-ding.
And then the holidays are done. Check. There's your
Right. And then I had one grandson who wanted me to crochet him I can't remember, a black cap vulture or something. So
Oh
I
wow,
had
that's such a unique request. Where did he get that idea?
well, there's a person who has crocheted animal and bird books, so that I got her book and adapted her. I don't know if it was a vulture, but it found out some way, adapted her patterns to make it fit whatever kind of crazy vulture it was that Jamie wanted.
That is so fun and unique. What are your favorite things to crochet and to make with origami?
Origami, I pretty much like anything. I make a lot of cranes and flapping birds because I have those memorized, and that kids like to see especially the flapping bird, because you can make it do something. I've made little hopping frogs with um, my addresses on them, so that to give away at book fairs and things.
Oh, that's so sweet. I love that idea. That's memorable too. Like that's not
If you're
something.
giving money for a gift, it's just a lot more fun to have it be an animal. It's cuter if it's an elephant.
Adds that little extra something to it.
Right.
Personal touch. Did you start this hobby when you were teaching? Is this something that came about, or is this something you've always enjoyed?
No, that's something that my father brought me an origami book when I was probably in junior high. So then I got started then, and now I have several books of different things you can fold. And my son has given me like those little calendars, fold a something every day.
Oh, that's fun. Oh, yeah, there's got to be like endless possibilities of the things you can make with that. That's got to be really
Oh yeah,
interesting.
there's some really fancy origami things that people have done, but mostly it's easier to memorize the simple things.
I think those are both such exciting hobbies. And something, I've seen kids be into crocheting. I've seen online, there are younger kids who crochet, who do origami. Have you ever thought of including those hobbies in any of your picture books?
No, I haven't, but there's some pretty good origami books that are already out there. So I don't know if I could live up to that standard.
I think the way you give personality to your characters, though, I mean, I could see you writing like a hopping origami frog story or something. I think that'd be so neat.
Well, I'll put that on my list of possible topics.
I would love that. I love all of your books, though, so you don't have to write that. But I just was wondering if you you don't have to feel obligated to write the idea, but I think it'd be
Well, I
cool.
have 2 more at the publisher right now, and then I have probably 4 or 5 that I've got the idea written down for things to work on. So we'll
Yay!
see.
That is so exciting. So you were on like a really quick pace at first when your publishing started. Like you were doing, was it one a month?
Well, yeah, because when I had sent David's pretzels out and gotten rejections, and was trying to figure out how to publish it myself, or how to run it off on the computer for friends and family, and was having a hard time because I actually it didn't fit any of the forms that you have like on Amazon or things. When I saw this friend who had published her book with Fox Point Publishing in Austin, Minnesota, and I thought, oh, somebody right here. So I made an appointment with them in March 2020 and brought them David's pretzels that I had illustrated. So I had the complete package. And oh yeah, they were really, really interested. And then I just said, well, I have these other ones that I've written, but I don't have any pictures for them. So all the ones in 2020 I had already done. So I didn't write the one a month. So it's like, okay, now people think I'm going to be whipping these books out this fast. No, I started David's Pretzels in 1991. So it's
Wow.
been a while.
That's kind of exciting though, because to have them built up and then to finally be able to kind of one by one send them out there and, you know, have
Yeah.
had them sitting and waiting and finally they get their time to go out. So that's so exciting.
Yeah, and Fox Point has illustrators that work for them. So I didn't have to worry about, well, I don't know if I could consistently draw a knight on every page or the princess look the same on every page or whatever.
Just from looking at their site online too, it seems like Fox Point Publishing just really is the most rounded out publishing company I've ever seen.
They do the edit. They have the editors there, so I've get good editing, both content and whatever grammar or whatever. So and designers, and so they do everything. And so when you get done, you've got a really nice book.
Yeah. And just so people know too, because we do have authors in our group, we have aspiring authors and who are also readers and just readers. But just to kind of touch on the publishing part, what's the difference between like going to an agent if you would have submitted, if they wanted to submit to a publishing company instead? What was the difference in that process to go to Fox Point?
Well, for me, I didn't actually know how do you even find an agent. I didn't know of any in Austin, Minnesota, and so that was a big, because if you're going to do any of the traditional publishers, they pretty much want an agent first to have checked things out. So that was kind of a stumbling block for me. So I can deal directly with Fox Point, and all of their authors do. So, you know, you just can send emails to them and they can tell you whether they think they can work with you or not. So it's been a good experience, but I do have to say this is an expensive hobby.
Yes.
Especially picture books, because you do have to pay the editor and the designer but when you get done, you've got a book that people can really enjoy. So, and I have to say that most of my books have been illustrated by Kayla Olson Surface, and I have just loved everything she's done, especially where she's gone above and beyond what I expected.
Yeah.
And I had a different illustrator for I painted a Magenta Flamingo that just made it beautiful. It's just like, oh, wow.
Yeah. I did notice that. That's something I was going to ask you about later on. So you illustrated David's Pretzels, and then there is just the one. Is it Samantha Hilton?
Samantha Hinton. Yeah.
Hinton.
Yeah. She did. So it's a really nice style that she has, and Kayla has done all the rest of them.
And is it a style choice for what the book would like called for? Is that why you switched?
I don't know. That you know, Fox Point chose the illustrator, so I just say, oh, good.
Oh,
so I'm actually working with another illustrator for the book that will come out later this year, A Gnome's Garden.
Ooh, that sounds fun.
So that, and I think this is her first time actually doing a book. So that's kind of fun to see the beginnings of somebody's career.
Yeah. And what's that like with the process going back and forth with the different illustrators? Is there a lot of conversation? Do you give a lot of art notes or not much?
Pretty much. I have, they ask you questions about things, but a lot of it, I just leave it up to them because I've been so happy with what they've done. So I did, for Magenta Flamingo, I kind of gave her a hint about the very last part, the very last thing where it says, but when all the flamingos fly up from the lake, I know which flamingo is mine. So I did send her the photograph that had been the inspiration for me, so she'd have some idea of what I was talking about there. What goes up must come down. I had originally poorly illustrated it. So some of the things I showed, I sent those things to Kayla so she would know what I was thinking about for the coming down parts, or how the things got lost, we'll say. Because everything that goes up gets lost somewhere. So
which is so fun.
you can't really tell from the story what's happening. You need the pictures.
Yeah.
But that's as far as it goes. Otherwise, it's just like, wow, look what they did with what I gave them. Whoopee.
I love to see how you've worked together to make those pictures and words come together so nicely for each book. It really is amazing how they can play off of each other and just make this complete story. How long does an illustrator take when they're working on your book? Is that part of the process when you hand that off?
Yeah, that could be 2 to 3 months, depending on what they're doing or how they're doing it. Kayla does a lot on the computer. My Alyssa, the new illustrator, is doing watercolors, so that's taking her a little longer. Plus, I think she's a freshman in college, so she's pretty busy.
Oh, that's really nice to see like the different stages of, where they are in their life, like
Right.
doing that career and putting their art out there. Oh, that's so cool that you get to work with so many different people and talents in-house too. So that's really, it sounds like a neat experience.
Yes.
That's so cool. Oh, I can't wait. So do you have a release date or a possible release date for the new ones you're working on?
Yeah, well, what goes up must come down is out now. So it's out in the world. It's available. The next one will be A Gnome's Garden. And we're still working on the illustrations for that one. And then the designer has to work on it too. So that will be a while. And then the other one that I have is, I made a mistake, you could say. I said, oh, and the knight and the princesses, the knight did get the princess's hand in marriage, but that's a story for another night. So some of the kids started saying, well, where's the other story? So another unusual tale is just gone to the illustrator now.
Wow. How many stories are you typically working on at a time? Is that kind of the normal? It sounds very busy.
Well, of course, my work with all that is those two are all done, except, looking at the pictures or the design and saying, oh yeah, I think that's good, or no, you think you should change this. But for myself, what I'm working on writing, I have about 4 or 5 that I'm working on. Plus I have this list of, oh, that's a cute idea. I like that word, or I like that idea, or whatever. So
Oh, that's so fun. Do you
a
have
little extra list going on there?
Yeah, that's a lot. I actually do like to write and I am working on things, and I know how that can kind of be chaotic with all those ideas at once. So do you set yourself a schedule and say, okay, I'm working on this one this week, or I've told the publishing company about this one, give me a deadline, or so I stay on track? Like, what do you do with all those ideas? How do you sort that writing process?
I did one and I set a deadline, and then it's like, oh my goodness, now you have to live up to that deadline. So I thought, okay, I'm going to be real careful now. I'm not going to give a deadline until I'm ready to do my own rereading and editing. So then I can say, okay, yeah, I can have this to you in a month. Then it's not quite so pressured. Maybe I should have more deadlines. And otherwise, I'm very scattered, not very organized.
It's tough, I think, with that creativity. Like, there's so much that goes into probably waking up each day, like, okay, I want to work on this one today. I've got ideas for this. Or like when there's so much, like we were talking about earlier, like the way you just grab inspiration from everywhere,
Right.
and it adds up, which is really fun. But I can see how that's like, what do I do today? When do I get this one done? That's a lot to the process. That's really
Oh, you're driving along and you see this sign, Trickety Creek. Oh, that sounds really good. I better write that down. Now, what can I work that into, or do I have to start a new story?
Oh, I love it. I love it. Oh, I wanted to talk to you too. I'm a former storytime educator for a library. So I got to read to the kids each week, and I loved doing that. And I saw, again, I forget how long ago it was, but following your Facebook page, you got one of your books turned into a story walk. So I wanted to, like, if you want to tell people about what a story walk is and your experience with that as the author.
This was a new thing that our library tried. So Austin has a lot of bike paths, walking paths, and this particular one starts behind the library and then it goes out around a lake and then back to the library. So they took sleepover with grandma, and then they would have each page blown up and on a sign. And so you start here at the library with the first page, and then you go to the walk a little ways, and then there's another page. And the person that put it up had little suggestions about things you could talk to your kids about relating to that story on that page till you got to the next. So as you walked around the lake, then you read the whole story. So that was just I just thought it was what a fun idea. And I think lots of people enjoyed it. So I think maybe they will try another walk around, not necessarily my books, but they'll try those again. And one of the things that they want to do is get more permanent signs so that they don't have weather problems or whatever. So I just think it's what a cute idea, just to go walking with your kids and read the story. And everybody I know that did it just had a wee of a time doing it too.
That's so fun. Yeah, we did. Our local libraries did that as well for a time, and it was such a cool thing. I see what you're talking about with the weather too. That is hard. Like it's pretty expensive to get the containers to hold them,
Right.
I assume. But it's so neat. And I remember seeing your post. I'm like, she's got a story walk. That is so cool. You look so happy by your picture, like in your picture by your
Oh
story
yeah.
being up.
Yeah.
So it's really neat that you had that experience, and then people could have, while it was up at any time, could go through and just read your story and have that experience. I really love that they did that with your work. And we talked earlier too about how you were a first grade teacher for 33 years, which I think is so awesome. What was your favorite thing about teaching first grade or just teaching in general?
Well, the first graders, I say the kindergarten teacher has them trained and they still love their teacher. So that's why I liked first grade. Plus, first grade is so fun because they come in and most of them are not real able to read a whole lot, but by the time you get done with them, they are readers. So that was just a fun. I just thought it was a fun age. So that was my favorite choice of where to be. I certainly did not want to be a junior high teacher. And I was just fortunate that I could have a job teaching first grade all the time. So once in a while I would have combination first. So I'd have some first graders and some second graders together, but mostly I had first graders only. So that was good.
Oh, that's so fun. And mentioning you wouldn't have wanted to teach the higher up grades. If for some reason you had, I would be curious, do you think that would have changed, like with that different immersion, like teaching different ages of children after you retired and started your writing career? Do you think you would have written different books for different age ranges or different genres?
Probably, because I think it's what you're familiar with and what you like. So I don't know, maybe if I taught the junior high kids, I would have read more junior high books and been happy happy to write some.
Um, and I was wondering too, kind of like a reverse question of something, like I would talk to somebody writing a novel. I've seen a lot of people now, they write a novel and then they make a companion picture book. And you have such educational information in your picture books. Have you ever thought of doing the reverse of that and making like a book for, middle grade, young adult, even adults? You could give some information in there and learn some things we didn't know when we're reading your books.
Never thought about that. I do have to say that the Terrific Tongues book, when I originally did it, it was just what are the big things in here, just the mentioning of the tongue. And Chelsea suggested well, you should put facts about the tongues too. So that's how it kind of came to be a double thing. So first it just has, because the first thing was at school, we were talking about how cats' tongues are dry and things. And then this one kid said, well, dogs slobber on you. And I thought, you're right. So the original book just started out with the kind of the rhyming thing of the different, cats clean you, dogs slobber on you, and sharks don't need a tongue. And then so Chelsea at Fox Point suggested, well, put the facts in there. So I had to do a lot of research to find out, well, okay, what is unusual about tongues? So that was learning for me too.
Oh, that's fun. I love that. And I mean, I could definitely see you, putting facts out there that you've already learned and put in the picture books. I mean, I would read a companion, like older version book of the information, and I'm sure I would still be fascinated. Like, this is amazing. Like, there is something really cool about getting to do that experience of reading with kids in so many different ways, like reading to them, seeing them learn to read, having companion books. It's just any experience with that I find so special. So I just wondered if you ever did, I would read them. Make the companion books, just so you know. I would love it. So part of your writing process, I'm wondering, what is your favorite part and what is your least favorite part when you're writing?
Well, I don't know. If I just get started, then I can just start writing these things. And I think my favorite part is just all the different words. That's part of David's Pretzels, is the encouraging children to read the dictionary, just because I think it's fun to read the dictionary and find interesting, funny words. So like one of my favorite words is acerb, just because it sounds absurd. It's not one you can use every day, although.
Oh, I love that. And the fun you have with those words and what you're putting in, I think comes through in reading your stories too,
Yeah.
which makes it that much more exciting. We have authors, aspiring authors. We have authors who write novels in our group, who also, some have said they're thinking about writing picture books. So what advice would you give an author, a new one, or someone who wants to maybe transition and add to their collection to write a picture book?
I would say, first of all, you do have to know that because you have to pay the artist, that picture books are, as I say, an expensive hobby. You do have to be ready to say, okay, maybe I'm not going to make all my money back. I don't know. but just, if you've written a story that you think needs a lot of pictures and you aren't able to do it yourself, different people at Fox Point have actually used different illustrators. So Fox Point has hooked me up with the illustrators that they have, but other people have used their next door neighbor or a friend who is an artist. And for the pictures, it makes your story so much more fun. And I just think, go for it. You may find an illustrator you really, really like, and then there you go. Your story is brought to life in those pictures, and that is so fun to just see what even somebody, for instance, Glorious Gertie, I pictured her as a little old lady, sort of me like, and my illustrator pictured her as this bright young thing. So there you go. The pictures may not be what you originally thought, but maybe they're way, way better.
That must be so fun to kind of see how other people envision what you've written.
Right.
And during every step of the process, probably after too, with reviews and everything too, just to see what it means to everybody else. That is really cool to think about. All right, so in a moment, we're going to talk a little bit more specifically about an unusual tale and what goes up must come down to end this interview video. But members, I still have questions for Helen Holder about the rest of her published books. that we're going to be continuing to talk about today. And then I'm just going to break down how we're posting it over the next couple of weeks. So the week of March 14th, which is my birthday, by the way, just to throw that in there, will be when we post you getting to see us talk about 3 of her books. We're going to talk about I Painted a Magenta Flamingo, Gloria Skirdy's Fabulous Fireworks, and Terrific Tongues. And then on our Monday, March 21st video, you'll get to see our conversation about David's Pretzels and Sleepover with Grandma. Perfect. And then on the 28th of March, I'm going to do my normal monthly review video where I'll read to you all my reviews, because Gemma and I are going to be reading over this month all of her books and making reviews and getting those posted and out there. So that'll be my normal review video on the 28th. And I'm looking forward to hearing your reading experiences this month and your reviews. Please remember to like and subscribe while you're watching all of these videos each week. And thank you so much for tuning in. If you're looking for more videos of Helen Holder this month while she's being featured, I definitely recommend checking out the Witty Writer Show on YouTube. About a year ago, you were interviewed by Beth Worsdell, and that was an amazing interview. Definitely check that out. Also, we're recording this right before the Deep Valley Book Festival on March 5th. So when this posts, unfortunately, it will already have happened because this is posting on Monday after it happens. But I did notice that your video, you and Catherine Sullivan spoke about writing stories that engage young readers last year, and that is actually under Deep Valley Book Festival on YouTube from last year. Do you know if they're going to be posting those again this year for people to see on their YouTube channel?
I just assume so. I'm not taking part in any panels, but they have so many fun ones, and it's just so fun to hear those authors talk about their work. I just love it. I signed up for everything. I think, oh, well, I'll just pick the ones I want to hear. And then the next thing I know, I've signed up for the whole day. So
Me too. I'll be watching right along with you. And then any of the members who are interested, I think they should be able to go and see after. And if nothing else, the ones from last year are up already. So I don't know when after they'll have those videos up once this interview posts, but definitely something fun to check out for anyone interested. And also, I'm really excited about the bonus events going on our corresponding book club hosted by Heather Skinner Facebook group page. So I definitely appreciate Fox Point Publishing and you making the extra time this month. So there's going to be a bonus takeover event on March 13th from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then there's also one of your Fox Talk lives that you guys will be doing. That's on March 22nd at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So I would love for you to just tell us a little bit more about your Fox Talks live events. It's getting stuck on my tongue there.
Yeah, all the Fox Point people, because it includes the designers and the illustrators and the salespeople. Actually, we sign up for the Fox Point Talks, and it's just a time when people can ask questions find out about how we published or what we're writing, and we talk about our books. And the fun thing is, if you ask a question, then you're put in a drawing for a free book. So there's usually, depending on how many authors and illustrators there are, there's usually 5 to 6 books that you have a chance to win a free copy.
Yay! That is so exciting that you guys will be bringing a Fox Talk Facebook Live to our book club Facebook group page. I really appreciate it. And the fact that we'll be able to see so much more feature of like the talent at Fox Point Publishing throughout this month. So I really appreciate that. And I'm so excited with all the opportunities and posting and interacting and even giveaway opportunities that'll be going on. So I can't wait to see everybody in the comments during those events and to watch and to tune in and see what you guys have to say. So let's go ahead and get talking about An Unusual Tale. I wanted to start with that one because that's your quote that won the post.
Right.
So did you want to go ahead and just, you've already kind of talked about it, but just a quick bio and hold up that cover again so people can see.
So this was I would say the biggest lesson in this one is if you don't have to fit into the stereotypes that people have about you. So that's why it's called an unusual tale, because it starts out with all the, in a land far away there lived a knight. He was the usual sort of knight. And when it talks about the princess, she was the usual sort of princess and the usual sort of king. And then he goes off to slay the usual sort of dragon. Everybody ends up with a job that they like much better. So that's kind of the fun lesson in there. You can do what you want to do. You don't have to be, just because somebody says you're this, you don't have to be that.
I noticed that as a common thread, like kind of in the bio of the book online, and then even in reviews that people posted about it. Is that something you found yourself having to tell first graders a lot, like, and let them know kind of it's okay to go about things differently? Or where did you get that message from that you wanted to share?
Well, it's just, I guess I don't know that I taught first graders specifically that, but just that, you have to be you, and if you have a different idea, that's okay. We can look at that idea. How does that fit in with what we're doing or whatever? But as far as the story, it's just, well, fairy tales you have these, when somebody says dragon, then you have this picture of how they're going to act and how they're going to be. And when you say a knight, you have this picture, and maybe they don't want to do that. The knight is very reluctant in this story to go off and try to kill a dragon. So
I love that. Someone's always looking for a new way, to tell a fairy tale. And that is a very new way to tell that fairy tale. I love that a lot. And then our member, Bonnie Jean Jepsen-Weinman, she has bought a copy of this for this month. She's going to give it as a gift for Christmas to her nephews, which are in the 7 and 9 age range. So from your writing experience and from reviews, what do you think that 7 to 9 age range is going to love the most about this book?
Well, my pep club right here in Austin, the fourth grader said, oh, she just loved the dragon and how the dragon was so sad about his job.
Oh, I love that. I hope we'll get to hear from Bonnie what they respond to as well when they get to read it. I know it's a little further out for the holidays, but it's good to have gifts for holidays in advance. I love that, being that when I can be that organized for the holidays. So I think that's awesome.
Well, I always think I'm going to have my Christmas shopping done by July, but so far it hasn't happened.
I hear you. I'm always like, okay, I'm going to do it early this year. Nope. So hopefully this is also very helpful. And Bonnie's really great about writing reviews too. So hopefully she'll take a look at it and give us a review and see how it resonates with her too. So I wanted to ask, this I believe was labeled as an early reader. So what made you lean towards writing this as an early reader?
I would say it's probably not an early reader, just for early reader. I think it's more a little older than, and so say I would read it to the 4 to 8 year olds, but it could still be read by second grade and up, I think, but probably not necessarily most first graders. It's a few words in there that might be a little harder, but
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, because I think that's the only one I had seen an early reader label on. So I didn't know if that was a very different format from your other books or not.
No, I pretty much just start writing and whatever comes out. If my editor decides to, maybe you should say this instead, that's, oh, okay.
That sounds like a good working relationship. Like, here's this, maybe this, let's try this. Let's find the middle or something.
That was one of the fun things with starting and actually working with an editor is, at first I felt like, well, if the editor says it, I suppose you have to, even if I don't like it that way, but you can actually say, well, why did you put it this way? And no, I don't like your suggestion. The editor's word is not the end all and be all. So that was,
I love that
kind of a fun thing to find out. Oh, yeah. I can say, no, I really want this to be this way.
I like that, to know that you can kind of have that vision and stand with it and say, well, this is really what I want to show. Like, this is what I want to say.
Right.
and then you can carry it on. So I love that.
Yeah.
I love that it's like a very general tale. You know, it's like a dragon, a prince. Have you ever thought of doing like another fairy tale retelling with like a more specific story? Like Snow White or something that's already like out there.
Well, I did write another one. It's not a very well-known one. It's called the North Wind. And so I did try to write that one. I write that with a little more modern twist, but I don't know. I'm not really happy with it, so I haven't done anything with it.
And I don't want you to give away any spoilers if what I'm asking is a spoiler, but I am interested to hear what you can tell us about its sequel. So you're saying, is this one more around the princess's story?
Well, oh no, it's still primarily the knight who is going to ask for the princess's hand in marriage. But he's got big romantic ideas, and the dragon just keeps telling him, just ask her. Because all of his romantic ideas have problems. So I consulted with my, well, at that time, second grade granddaughter, and used all her ideas about what is romantic. It involves a lot of chocolate and roses, let me tell you. She has watched her father a lot.
He's got it down.
Yes.
Oh, that's so fun.
Whoever's going to win her heart is going to have to work hard.
It sounds like they'll know what they've got to do, though. She's got her list. Right. She's got it figured out. She's like
the one thing I have no clue, but she had some things that she thought about moonfish, and I couldn't figure out anything. I couldn't work moonfish into the story, but the rest of the ideas are pretty much Mia's ideas about what is romantic for the knight to try.
Oh, I think that's so adorable. Like knowing that behind, like I can't wait to read it and just kind of see how those translated into the story. Oh. So if you want to hold up your next book, what goes up must come down.
This one came out of visiting my grandson Emmaus's kindergarten class, and they were learning about Newton's law of gravity, and they were singing found an apple found a peanut. They were doing apple, and that's how I discovered the law of gravity. So I wrote this for them actually and sent it off with my poor illustrations.
Oh, give yourself more credit. I bet they were beautiful.
Well, they weren't that good. And so then fortunately the Fox Point chose to get Kayla to do the pictures, because she really, look at this fish's expression being picked up by the pelican.
I have to give some major credit to the illustrators too, because you have a clown in your book at one point. And my daughter is, no matter how friendly a clown looks, is usually terrified. And the clown was her favorite in this book. I couldn't believe it. I'm like, this is the first time she's ever liked a clown in anything, and she loved it. So there's some real credit here to the illustrator making this not a scary clown. I'm so surprised.
He's jumping up on the trampoline, and what goes up must come down. So everybody's looking for him, but he doesn't come down. So this is not so much a story as just a kind of a list of things that happened. So here's why the clown didn't come down until, where is he coming down here? Oh, what a ride.
That is Gemma's favorite part. She had me keep going back and rereading it over and over, and she kept doing like different like expressions, like, whoa, what a ride, like adding the dramatics. It was so fun to be a part of reading this book, and I know she's going to want to read it and reread it for just forever. It's such a great book. I highly recommend this. And what you said, this is already out, so that's exciting. When did this officially
this one's
launch?
Available at the local bookstore from me or from Fox Point. So
perfect. Is this actually something I'm surprised Gemma didn't think to ask you this herself, because she mentioned she really likes the part with the underwater like
Oh,
scientist, and she got really stuck on that one too. She's like, "Do you think she'll make a sequel about them?" Like she got really intrigued about wanting to know more about those
but
characters.
this underwater person.
Yeah. So have you ever thought about taking up like this book? I feel like you could make so many side character books from. Like you just set up these
Oh
amazing
yeah, there's a whole
characters.
lot of people there.
Yeah. Do you do that when you're writing? Do you think, okay, well, maybe I'll save these guys for later?
Uh, so far I haven't. I haven't. Well, except for another unusual tale has the same characters, but um, and then I painted a magenta flamingo. Somebody said, "Well, they can hardly wait to see what animal you did next." So I actually have started researching another animal with a same sort of idea with the snarky sister.
That is so fun to read. Like I just automatically can't help but kind of change my voice and, and
Right.
mannerisms. It's
Well,
really,
it needs that attitude there.
it does. And to see Gemma laugh as I read it that way too is always so fun. So you've heard a lot of Gemma's favorite parts. Do you have a favorite part in each of those books that you enjoyed writing the most?
Well, I know I think I just start and go and whatever comes out. And the quote I gave you from I love the dragon, thinking about the dragon not wanting to burn him, burn him up, have ashes in his kitchen. Just some silliness like that.
I love it. And I feel like you can really just tell the characters' personalities through these quotes too, which is why it's just so fun. Like I can't help myself but to change my voice since I read each character and like
Right.
so it's an
Yes.
amazing job you do with that. Um so I also love to end off talking about reviews because reviews are super important for authors and other readers that are trying to figure out, hey, do I want to read
Yeah.
this
Do I
book?
want to spend the money for this book?
Yeah. So first, I'd love to talk with you. What do reviews mean to you, and where can members leave reviews for you?
Well, Amazon, of course, is a big place where you can leave reviews, and those are important for the author too, because there's a certain number of reviews they have to get before Amazon starts putting their books, in the recommended for you section, which is a good place to have people notice. And just, I mean, part of the reason as an author that you are even writing or putting these books out there is because you think they're fun or informative and you want other people to share in that. So to know that somebody really enjoyed your book and why they enjoyed it is just a really good thing to do, that you've been successful. So when somebody writes a review and they have, maybe if they have comments that are not so good, then what do I need to improve on? Or if they write one that's really good, it's just nice to know that, wow, somebody else enjoyed this as much as I did writing it.
And for writing picture books, do you get a lot of unique reviews where you're hearing a lot of what the kids had to say after they read it specifically or their reactions?
Yeah, or probably I've gotten most of those. I've gotten some that were written. So our library had a flamingo thing where you could pay to have somebody's yard flamingoed. So a whole lot of pink flamingos stuck in their yard, or else you can pay to be having flamingo insurance. And so one little girl that had bought, I painted a magenta flamingo, was so excited because she had the flamingo book and now she had a yard full of flamingos. So that was fun. But a lot of the other ones have come from, say, local people who have actually talked to me. The kids talked to me about. So just last Sunday, I had some kids at church who came up to me and said, "Oh, we just love sleepover with grandma. It's so fun." And I happen to know their grandma, who is not at all like that grandma. So it's really fun to just have some kids who come and say, "Oh, we just read that. We just laughed and laughed. We had a good time with that."
Oh, that's so cool. And kids are super observant too. Like, have they ever brought up something in your books that you never would have thought of when they're telling you this stuff?
Well, of course, it was my first big surprise was from an unusual tale. As I say, I just ended it never thinking really about it. But oh, and the knight did get the princess's hand in marriage, but that's a story for another night. And it's like, okay, now this kid comes up to me and says, well, where's the next story? Oh, I guess I have to write it. So I didn't really think about doing that. It's just
So now that
a
you've
good way
seen,
to end it.
yeah, like, do you plan on adding another one now that you've seen that reaction? Is this going to be a continuing series after this
No,
second one?
I don't know. I guess I'll have to see about it. If anybody wants to know what happens to the prince and knight after they get married.
Oh, that is so great. I'll keep my eye out to see where that series goes. I can't wait to read the next one, if nothing else. Oh, Helen, this has been fantastic. Please don't go anywhere, because next up we're going to be talking about I Painted a Magenta Flamingo, Glorious Gertie's Fabulous Fireworks, and Terrific Tongues. And members, please tune in next Monday, March 14th, 2022, to hear our chat about those books. Thank you for watching, and happy reading.